Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Record Breakers. I'm Peter Rave, and I'm chewing gum. Here with me is my here with me is my crew. It's the only way to control the jitters. It's like otherwise I'm like, Here with me is my crew. We have Brett.
Hi, everybody. I'm chewing gum here.
We got Patrick.
What up?
And we've got Drew.
I'm eating chocolate.
We're here gathered to talk about music, as we do every week or so, more or less. This show is at least good about it. The other shows I do. Sorry, Kaz. Sorry, DJ.
You do other shows?
Yeah, it's easy to forget. I actually have two other podcasts.
You podcast more.
I swear, I do have more shows. But we're here doing Record Breakers. That's the time. This is now. Here to talk about music. The provider of the music this week is Patrick. Patrick, what do you got for us this week?
I brought. I just moved to Texas, the greater Austin area, and ultimately Austin proper. So I brought a band from Austin, American Sharks, and their self-titled debut album.
Mm-hmm. I'll go with you, Drew. What were your expectations coming into this album?
Coming into this album, I had no real idea that it was from Texas. I had no real idea what I was getting into. All I knew that it was a self-titled record. It was by a band named American Sharks, and that's literally it. Yeah. This is one of those bands where I was completely blind. I had no idea. I had never even heard the name before. I did not know they were a thing. I now do know that they are a thing, for better or worse, and we'll get into that.
Yes. All right. So, Brett, what were your expectations coming into this album?
You threw me off there. I too had never heard of American Sharks. I knew that sharks don't have bones in their body. They can't sleep because they have to keep moving. I was expecting something completely different as well. I had no idea what I was going to get, and I did not expect to get what was given. I actually, to say what I was expecting something along the lines of Ninja Sex Party or something like that. Maybe something a little whinier.
Yeah. Patrick, how would you describe this album musically?
So stylistically, and we will argue over genres inevitably, I feel like it's equal parts like punk and thrashy stoner metal. It's 2.5 minute songs, but it's heavy and it's groovy, and they've been on tour with Gwar, and I think that sort of like attitude towards music is probably a little similar. Just sort of, play fun music, sing about stuff that isn't necessarily serious or meant to be taken seriously. And just the songs they're about important topics like partying and cocaine and Satan, and that's just kind of what they do. It's not an album to analyze or dig deeply into. You just like turn it on and let it beat the shit out of you for 20 minutes, and then you repeat it and start back at the beginning.
To really analyze. You gave that to us to analyze and dig deep in.
I was just going to say, we're about to do a half-hour show analyzing a record that you should not analyze. Well done, Swagger.
Yes! I bring challenges.
Yes. You sure do. Drew, how would you describe this album musically? What would be the themes and elements that caught your attention?
He says he brings challenges. I'm glad I'm not challenged every week like the week that we had to review Glassjaw. Saying that, this band was odd, right? It was an odd thing to get into. I did not know what I was expecting. And what I got blew that out of the water, so to speak, because I have seen my fair share of punk bands, both big and small. And on every punk show, there's usually one band that is some sort of an amalgamation of bands you've heard before. So like, when I put this on, I could hear this band touring with the Misfits or Social Distortion or like that sort of.
Don't you bring Social Distortion to this?
And those are two wildly different bands.
Yes, and I'm getting to why I say wildly different. The bands, but it's that sort of. They could be the second or third act on like big touring punk sort of show, right? And they take a lot of different inspirations. I feel like they have a metal sensibility in parts. It's got this crunch, overdriven fuzz to it that's very, as Patrick would put it, that stoner metal sort of thing. It sings like the lyrics are, like Patrick said, Satan and cocaine, scary movies, partying, like that whole bit, right? And it's sort of a cartoon of itself. And it just borrows from so much. It wasn't anything that was offensively bad, which is why I brought up Glassjaw earlier.
Offensively bad.
But it was something that I just feel like I've heard in parts before. It's the band that I was never unhappy was there at the show playing, but I never walked up to their merch table. It was that sort of thing. I enjoyed them while they were on. But like it was too much of bits and pieces from all over the place, all brought into one and sort of mixed together. But the thing is, I can't sit here and be mean about it because
you can. Here, I'm giving you permission. Be mean.
Well, no, like that's the thing. It's something that I've heard before, and but it's something new, right? If you want something that sounds sort of out of time, it sounds like the bands that you love from certain eras. This takes bits and pieces from all of them. And it sounds that way from a fidelity standpoint and from a stylistic standpoint. It sounds that way. And if you want that, these guys do that very well. It's not something I necessarily want, but it's something that I think is done pretty well by them. It's sort of honed into a thing that exists on this record that, like, you can tell they put some thought into it and what they wanted it to sound like, and they shine that real good.
Mm-hmm. Shine it up real good. Turn that some sideways and some straight. Brett, what would be the themes elements that caught your attention?
Well, I'm going to add to. I'm going to put words in Drew's mouth that he probably couldn't find. Lost in the fuzz. If he was looking for a direct comparison to this, let's go back maybe 10 years. There's this band called Wolf Mother that was very, 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 very similar to this. But yeah. No, it's only they had an organ, and you know what? Yeah. But this is getting into my thoughts as I just pulled something from deeper down in the list. This is a short album. This is a punk rock short album, like in short as in punk rock. This is not a punk rock album. This is a rock album. This is a fuzz rock album. This is something that a couple kids, one the bassist bought a big muff and a Russian muff, and a guy on the guitar said, "Hey, I found out how to get really bitchin' square wave tone out of my guitar," and they never turned it off the entire album. that makes for a band where everything is turned to 11. Even the drummer, he's smacking that crash cymbal like there's no fucking tomorrow. That's the fuzz pedal of the drum world. If you got like 13 crash cymbals and you need like an extra arm so you can hit it every beat.
I like a good Russian muff.
Yeah, you know what? They're black, and you know I love a big old black muff. It's
the Russian ones were green.
It depends. But the ones that you would use as a basis are the black ones. But this is a masterclass in as a guitarist and somebody. I mean, I got a rat down there that makes the fucking dirtiest fucking square wave through that thing that I barely ever play. I normally play through this bread pan thing I'm pointing at because that thing is too dirty to do what I play most of the time. But yeah, when you get dirt and you start to be able to you're like dialing in like static, like it's a radio station, and you're like, oh, that's the kind of dirt I like. They had a kind of dirt. Every instrument in this had a kind of dirt that they liked, and it didn't change. Like you had that dirt, and it's you know, it's one of those things where you strike gold, and you know, why fucking change? You found what sounds cool, and I'm okay with that. It was not offensive that they knew how to fuzz things up. Dynamics is probably not what you're going to find here.
No.
But you know, there's I want to, you know, there's some great bass growl. There's something to a fuzzy bass that, you know, all the way down to like, you know, Spirit in the Sky kind of fuzz. You know, the like 60s. We've got this stuff. We don't know how to use it quite yet. Technology is not. We don't know how it works. Let's just turn these knobs up. There's sort of a nice growl to the bass that I really like. The style and structure, while vastly different, was really there was some like almost White Zombie-esque like galloping beat to it. There's some the way that
album cover right away.
Yeah, I mean it's there's a there's a certain sort of galloping roll. It's not exactly, you know, the same frequency range. It's just that headbang rock sound that this is really going after, just without the schlocky 90s noise. And again, this is an album that if you wanted to see what turning things to 11 on every instrument, including the drums, this is that somewhere on that drum kit there's a knob and somebody's turned it, and yeah, it's definitely not Ninja Sex Party, and there's not a whole lot of whining, and you know what? We even get like some cheesy song intro that you wish you could skip, but you can't. So you know, there's stuff to sink our teeth into. Let's do that now.
Yes. Let's sink our teeth into this. Patrick, what would be some of the songs to key in on?
So I'm going to start with the second track on the album, Overdrive, which sounds like the soundtrack to Running from the Cops after a bank heist. And I think that's the only way to describe it. It's you know, it's a song that just drives forward. You know, it's called Overdrive. It's probably as a driving song, and I'm a connoisseur of the driving song, and that is a song for Running from the Cops. And it's good fun and kind of goes with the whole theme of this album, which is don't take anything too seriously, but like be super tight with what you're doing and turn everything to 11, like Brett said.
Okay, let's do the record breakers, the aside. Petey, if you're going to rob a bank and run away from the cops, what would you listen to? What would be on your radio? What would be your cassette tape you stick in?
I would an old 2 Live Crew tape. I don't know.
All right, Drew, while you're drinking your
Comeback Kid, False Idols.
Turbo Lover, Judas Priest.
I'm gonna go. I'll probably throw in. Actually, in all seriousness, I'll probably throw in a Clash record.
I only say that because whenever I want to drive quickly, I put on Comeback Kid. It's usually False Idols. So,
but continue. Now that we are finished with record breakers, the aside.
Yeah.
16 or XVI. I don't know how they want it said, but I'm going to go with 16. It has the most ridiculous warped spoken word introduction from Satan himself, because that's the kind of shit this is. But it's got a really, really fun melody, and like Brett said, the bass is really prominent on this record. That's the nice thing about a trio is you can actually like just listen to the bass the whole damn time because it's right there doing its thing. And he does a really good job of balancing out having fuzzed out bass, but without losing the bottom end and losing the impact that usually when you fuzz out a bass you lose. There's definitely some clever use of blending between a clean amp and a really dirty one. And then Demon with Glass Sword. This I think is really, really strong on the vocals, and it's kind of a fairly complete song for being 2.5 minutes. It goes places. It just does it quickly and doesn't dwell anywhere, and kind of gets itself over with.
Drew, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Let's go with Iron Lungs. Gain, fuzz, chugging guitar. It's a song about monsters. It's pretty great. What was it? Freak Out. I liked something about the build up and the Freak Out was cool.
Oh, Freak Out.
Not La Freak, says Chic.
I was thinking
no.
Freakazoid.
Nice.
I'm with you, Drew.
Okay. At least me and you were on Chic's page.
Yes.
Also, and like
look up what Chic's doing.
Their guitar player played on the Daft Punk record.
Cool.
But no, something about.
I think I know somebody who works with him.
That's
the
weird.
Chic hole gets deeper. Let's keep digging ourselves into this.
Apparently, we have completed the circle from American Sharks to Le Chic.
No, it's Chic. The song is La Freak. Get your disco right.
Yeah.
Damn it. In the week that, let's date this recording, in the week that Maurice White dies, you gotta get your disco right. Get on that shit. But no, back on point. Freak Out. Like, something about the build-up into, like, the song structure and, like, what that actually was really cool. That the song freaks out as the lyrics freak out. Like, that was, I don't know, that's something that's always fun to me, is when you think about how your music matches your lyrics. And it's obviously the day here. Also, I don't know if I'm wrong or not about this song. And I don't care if I'm wrong about this song. If it's not a love letter to cocaine as a song, I don't want to be told that I'm wrong. Because that was awesome. Something about that song just makes me laugh. Like, I don't know why. I might be a horrible person for laughing at some of these cocaine addictions. I don't care. It was just kind of cool.
Brett, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Well, Iron Lungs. They really were important during the polio epidemic. This album starts off really, really punchy. It's exactly what you're going to come to expect, like what you can expect to get out of the rest of the album, because there's not a whole lot of things differentiating tracks. I listened to this album probably 4 times through with my wife, and it took me noticing that the album had flipped over, and it was the intro to 16, which I will get into now, that made me remember, hey, wait a minute, that weird, stupid intro that you wished wasn't there. It's kind of like the interstitial, skip parts of a rap album that you're just like, why is this like part of the track and not like a quick 30-second thing that I can skip? But no, 16. This because I enjoy songs that are simple. I was not offended by this at all. It also is what I brought up earlier, strikingly reminiscent of the Wolf Mother song "Woman," which is not a bad thing to be compared to. and Cocaine. It's been a while since I've had I've
Cocaine.
talked about a song about the booger sugar, because come to find out that like 90% of the songs we listen to are about cocaine. So either caused by or about. It's
that dirty
really,
cocaine.
yeah. It's
Well, she don't lie. She don't lie. She don't lie.
When you have to add extra words to your song about cocaine because you're an old man. The growl on the bass is pretty fantastic, and there's some pretty cool guitar licks around this song. I mean, we're trying to dissect a very, very simple. It's like dissecting an earthworm and finding out it's got 8 tracks to it. It's one of those things. It's there's not a whole lot going into this thing, and as brief as the songs are, it's kind of great to even be able to pull what we have been able to pull out of this. We've got the hamburger helper of the music review going on, but there's definitely some stuff going on here with at least those 3 songs that I picked out that are memorable ish. We'll get into the final thoughts, but there's a lot of similarity between the tracks, and that made it kind of difficult. I don't know if I'll let me speak for Drew here while he's drinking something. That it was kind of difficult to review an album that look at that, he knows a grapefruit soda when he sees one. We're trying really hard because this is something that if you haven't heard this album and you're coming in and listening, you're not going to know what the fuck we're talking about. You're just going to think fuzz. What the fuck? If you don't know what fuzz is, you get nothing out of this review. So,
That's why you got to listen ahead of time.
Yeah.
Play Record Breakers at home game. But yeah.
And then you can learn something about music tonality, because that's about what me and Brett got for this record.
Yeah. But yeah, let's wrap up with some final thoughts, conclusive thoughts. Drew, what would be your conclusive thoughts on this album?
It's hard, because like I said, this is not something that's so bad that I can make fun of Patrick for it. So I can't be angry, because it wasn't done poorly. It was done well. They did the thing that they wanted to do, at least the thing I assume they wanted to do, because it sounded like something that was intentional. They did that well. So I can't really hate on that too much. It's one of those things where, am I going to come back to this? Probably not. Was I humming the songs at work? No. Was it something that I'm going to put in regular rotation? No. But if I saw them on the bill for a show out in Akron, I might go. Like, it's one of those things where, like, I would kind of want to experience, like, what this band is. Looking at their Facebook, I don't know 100% if I should do that. But I mean, it would be something that I think would be kind of cool and fun to just experience what it is. So, like I said, if you want to dive back into, but Wolfmother's a great example. If you dug what Wolfmother was sort of doing, but you want like the more sort of almost vaguely punk edge to that, I would check this band out. If you didn't like what Wolfmother did at all, I would not check this band out. At all.
Yeah.
But if you kind of like, it's all right. It might be worth a listen.
Yeah. Good way to kind of put it. Brett, what would be your conclusive thoughts on this album?
Not to, I'm leading off like Drew. There are tons of albums that Patrick brings that are absolute garbage. Cue garbage.
He didn't bring garbage.
Exactly. There we go. Let me just. Yeah, there we go. This one ain't. I actually have in my notes this Patrick brings that are absolute garbage, and I have italicized Drew. Pausing for Drew to make the garbage joke. Yeah. This ain't garbage. And it's not trash either. It's not the deepest. It's not the greatest. It's okay, and it can be fun. You don't show up to this album expecting Bach. I mean, it's.
I did.
I was thrilled that I got what I got because, I don't want to grade on a curve, but, it could have been worse. And likely next time around won't be this easy. But punchy music is always fashionable. And this album has punch for days. It's not very long. Give it a listen. See what you think.
Yeah.
Wink.
Yeah. Go check it out. Patrick, what would be your conclusive thoughts on this album?
Like I kind of said at the beginning, this is it doesn't take itself too seriously, and the last album I picked was a crazy fusion jazz album. That's meant to be taken somewhat seriously. This is not. This is just have fun for 20 minutes, and I fully intend to try to see these guys when they inevitably play around here because it just seems fun. It's kind of dead simple rock and roll, but it's hard, it's heavy, and it just, I've been putting this on repeat for a couple of weeks now. You just put it on, you get stuff done, you do things. It's in the background talking about dumb shit that, it's just dumb and fun. And the world needs fun music sometimes. There's a place for serious stuff, and I like a lot of that, and there's a place for emotional stuff, and I like too much of that. This is none of that. This is just 20 minutes of hey, we're going to talk about some dumb shit. We're going to sing some songs. We're going to play really loud and fast, and then we're going to get the fuck out. And sometimes you need that in your life.
Yeah.
Dig it.
Peace out, Humphrey. Yeah, those would be our thoughts on American Sharks. Now we get to the main event of the evening. We get to our haiku reviews.
Oh, Petey, I thought you were going to have an American shark joke.
No. I don't.
If you want to,
I'm not that
you
clever.
can edit one in.
Yeah, I'll have to think
anyway.
one. Well, I'll have to think of one because I'm not that clever. But now we get to our haiku reviews. We get to our main event of the evening. We sum up our thoughts overly simplified into a poetic form. I'll start with you, Drew. Let's go with the order we've been going. What is your haiku?
Old school meets new. Or old school meets the new. But not much changed here. Refrigerator.
Brett, what is your haiku?
It's not what I thought. A large dose of punch and drive. Mindless rock and roll.
My haiku, American schlock, fun to groove your booty to while you're headbanging. Patrick.
I'm trying to think how that works physically. It's I can't do it.
Patrick, what is your haiku?
Simple rock and roll, but somehow groovy and fun. A good fucking time.
Yep. All right, those are our thoughts on American Sharks. American Sharks. Go check it out on our Spotify playlist. Play Record Breakers, the home game. Listen along at home, so that you can be all caught up and know what's going on in our podcasts on a weekly basis. On that Spotify playlist will be next week's pick, and that will be provided by none other than Brett. Brett, what do you got for us next week?
We're going from a band that doesn't take themselves seriously to a band that took themselves way too seriously. But it's equally short, and it's the only album ever produced by the band Minor Threat, Out of Step. If play Record Breakers the home game, or you will not get anything out of it.
Yeah. So look forward to that discussion next week. Enjoy that. But that's it for us this week. It's been cool. You can, of course, find us all over the internet. Patrick is at The Swagger. Brett is at Hibbity Bibbert, HIBBITYBIBBARD. Drew is at XYusuferX. I'm PD Rave. The show is for Record Breakers. That's the number 4. Record Breakers. RecordBreakersPodcast.com. RecordBreakersPodcast@gmail.com. For emailing us, your concerns, your complaints, your love, your hate. Email it to us. We'll read it. Rebelli.net for this and other shows. YouTube.com/RebelliTV. I'm committing to putting out more content this year. I know I've said it a bunch of times in different podcasts and it's never happened. But I swear, it'll happen at some point. I promise. Stop judging me. But look out for that. Until next time. Hasta los huevos.
Toodaloo.